My husband's affair with my childhood friend was exposed when he accidentally left his phone unlocked. He'd been lying about his whereabouts, spending our savings on her, and letting her into our home behind my back. I never expected it to happen this way. The signs had been there for months, little things that seemed like nothing at first. A late-night work call, a business trip he took without much detail. But nothing prepared me for the bombshell that would explode in my face, tearing apart everything I thought I knew about my marriage. It all started on a Tuesday afternoon. I had been running errands all day, rushing from the dry cleaners to the grocery store, my mind consumed with the usual chaos of life. I didn't expect Mark to be home when I arrived. He was always working late or traveling for business. But when I walked into our living room, I froze. There he was, sitting on the couch, phone in hand, with an expression that I couldn't quite read. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual, but the moment the words left my mouth, something in the air shifted. It was as if he had been caught doing something he wasn't supposed to. "Hey, babe," he said, looking up with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He quickly put the phone face down on the coffee table, but I noticed the flash of guilt that passed through his features. "Something wrong?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I knew something wasn't right. The way he was acting, the way he quickly hid his phone, it was too obvious. "Just work stuff," he replied quickly, his voice slightly higher than usual. "You know how it is." I didn't believe him. I hadn't believed him for weeks now. Something had changed. And I was determined to figure out what it was. I walked over to the kitchen, pretending to busy myself with unpacking the groceries. My mind raced as I tried to make sense of everything. That's when I saw it. His phone, still lying on the coffee table, unlocked. Mark never left his phone unattended. He was always glued to it, checking emails, messages, social media. It was one of his habits, something I'd always found a little annoying but never thought much of. Until now. My heart raced as I picked up his phone. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through the screen, knowing that whatever I found would change everything. But I had to know. I couldn't live in the dark any longer. The first thing that caught my eye was the message from Jessica. I froze. Jessica, my childhood friend. The one I had trusted with my secrets, the one I had considered family. She and Mark had always gotten along, but I never thought twice about it. Now, seeing her name on his phone sent a wave of nausea through me. The message was recent, sent just a few hours ago. "I can't stop thinking about you. I miss you. When can we be together again?" My blood ran cold. I read it again, just to make sure I wasn't imagining things. No, it was real. Mark had been having an affair with Jessica. My mind struggled to process the betrayal. How could he do this to me? To us? I quickly scrolled down, desperate to find more evidence. And I found it. There were dozens of messages, all flirtatious and intimate. Pictures, too, of Jessica in revealing outfits, some even taken in our home. My stomach churned as I saw one of her sitting on our couch, wearing my favorite sweater, the one I'd left on the chair the night before. The door creaked behind me, and I quickly shoved the phone back on the table, trying to act natural. "Everything okay?" Mark asked, his voice too casual. I turned to face him, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't hold back the tears anymore. "What the hell is going on, Mark?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "Why are you doing this?" He looked taken aback, clearly caught off guard by my sudden outburst. "What do you mean?" His face twisted with confusion, but I saw the flicker of guilt in his eyes. "I mean this," I said, holding up the phone, my voice trembling with anger and hurt. "I found your messages, Mark. I found everything." His face went white. For a moment, he just stood there, frozen, unable to speak. The silence stretched on, thick and suffocating. And then, slowly, the truth began to spill from his lips. "I'm sorry, Jenna," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "I never meant for this to happen. I don't know how it got this far." "How it got this far?" I echoed, disbelief flooding my voice. "You've been lying to me for months. You've been sneaking around, spending our savings on her, letting her into our home like I'm some fool. And you think how it got this far is a valid excuse?" I didn't know what to do," Mark said, his eyes pleading. "I didn't want to hurt you. I was confused. Jessica and I," he broke off, his words faltering. "I didn't think it would go this far." "Confused?" I repeated, my voice rising with fury. "You were lying to me. You were living a double life while I was at home, trusting you, loving you. You've been spending our money on her, our money, Mark. And you brought her into our home. You let her wear my clothes, sit on my couch, in the place that was supposed to be ours." He opened his mouth to speak, but I didn't let him. "Do you think I'm stupid?" I shouted. "Do you think I wouldn't notice the late nights? The business trips that never seemed to add up? You were never really working late, were you? You were with her. You've been with her this whole time." Mark looked down, unable to meet my gaze. "I'm so sorry, Jenna. I never meant for it to happen like this. I never meant to hurt you." I let out a bitter laugh, the tears streaming down my face. "You've already hurt me, Mark. You've already destroyed everything. Everything we built together is gone. I don't even know who you are anymore." "I can fix this," he said, his voice desperate. "Please, just give me a chance. We can work through this." "We can work through this?" I interrupted, my voice trembling with rage. "You've been lying, cheating, and betraying me. And you think we can just work through this like nothing happened? No, Mark. It's over." I stormed out of the room, my heart shattering with every step. I didn't know where to go, but I had to get away from him. From the lies, from the betrayal, from everything that had once felt safe. As I walked out of the house, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Jessica. "Are you okay? I'm here if you need me." The anger flared inside me again, but it wasn't just for Mark anymore. It was for her, too. My childhood friend. The woman I had trusted, the one who had pretended to be my friend while sleeping with my husband behind my back. I stared at the message for a moment, then deleted it. I wasn't going to let her control me. I wasn't going to let either of them destroy me. The days that followed were a blur. I moved into my sister's apartment, surrounded by her love and support. Mark tried calling, texting, showing up at my work. But I ignored him. I couldn't look at him without seeing the man who had betrayed me. The man who had broken my heart. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for sure: I was done with Mark. And I was done with Jessica. It was time for me to take control of my life again. The days that followed Mark's betrayal felt like I was living in a fog, my mind unable to process everything at once. I spent the first few nights in a haze, unable to sleep, unable to eat, and certainly unable to think clearly. My sister, Lily, was my rock. She had always been there for me, but now, more than ever, she was my anchor in the storm. "You don't have to go back to that house," Lily told me, her voice gentle but firm. "You don't have to face him. He doesn't deserve you." But part of me still wanted to understand. I wanted to know how it all went so wrong. How had I missed the signs? How had I not seen the cracks in our marriage that had slowly deepened into a chasm? The guilt ate at me, even though I knew I had done nothing wrong. But still, I felt like a fool. How could I have been so blind? I had trusted him. I had believed every word he said. Every promise he made. Now, it all felt like a lie. I tried to push those thoughts aside, but they crept in at the most unexpected moments, when I was walking through the grocery store, when I was alone in my room, when I saw a couple holding hands. It was all too much. I felt so betrayed by the two people I had once trusted the most. Mark didn't give up. He called, texted, and even showed up at my sister's apartment, but I couldn't face him. Not yet. The anger inside me was too raw. The hurt too deep. It was on the 5th day, after everything came crashing down, that I finally decided I needed to confront him. Not for him, he didn't deserve that, but for me. I needed to find closure. I needed to look him in the eyes and hear him say the words I had been waiting for, the truth. I needed to hear him admit to everything. When I walked into our house that afternoon, it felt like a stranger's home. The air was thick with the memories of us, of our life together, and yet, it felt so hollow. Every room seemed to echo with the lies that had been spoken in the space. Mark was sitting on the couch when I walked in, his eyes immediately meeting mine. There was something different about him. His face was pale, his posture slumped as though the weight of his own actions was crushing him. "I've been waiting for you," he said quietly, his voice hoarse. I crossed my arms, trying to steady myself. I was angry. But beneath the anger was a flood of emotions I didn't know how to process. Betrayal. Hurt. Disbelief. But most of all, I felt a deep sense of sadness for what we had lost. "You've been waiting for me?" I asked, my voice trembling with the rawness of everything I had been holding inside. "Do you think I'm going to forgive you, Mark? Do you think you can just waltz back into my life after everything you've done?" "I don't know what I was thinking," he said, his eyes pleading with me. "I never wanted to hurt you. I swear, I didn't mean for it to go this far." "Then why did you do it?" I demanded, my voice rising. "Why did you lie to me? Why did you let her into our home? Why did you let her wear my clothes? Why did you spend our money on her?" "I was stupid," Mark admitted, his voice breaking. "I thought I could keep everything separate. I thought I could keep the affair hidden, that I could keep you and Jessica apart. But I was wrong. I see that now." "You were wrong?" I repeated, my voice growing cold. "That's all you have to say? You think I was wrong makes it okay? You think that's going to fix everything?" "I'm sorry, Jenna," he whispered, his voice filled with remorse. "I'll do anything to make this right. Please, just tell me what I can do. I don't want to lose you." I looked at him, feeling nothing but a deep, aching emptiness. "It's too late for that, Mark. You've already lost me. You've lost my trust. You've lost everything." I turned to walk away, but something inside me made me stop. I turned back to face him. "And Jessica?" I asked, my voice low and dangerous. "What about her?" Mark flinched, his face twisting with guilt. I don't know what to say. I never should have let it happen." "Don't bother," I spat. "I don't care about your excuses. You've hurt me in ways I can't even describe. You've broken something in me, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to fix it." I could see the tears in his eyes, but they meant nothing to me. I didn't want his tears. I didn't want his apologies. I wanted to be free of the man who had lied to me, the man who had betrayed me. "I'm done," I said, my voice final. "We're done. I don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to hear from you." Mark's face crumpled, and for a moment, I thought he might collapse in front of me. But I didn't care. The man I had loved was gone, replaced by a stranger who had hurt me more than I could ever have imagined. The days that followed were a blur of emotions, anger, sorrow, confusion. I didn't know what to do next. My life had been turned upside down, and I felt lost. But I had one thing left, my sister. Lily was my constant through all of this. She listened to me vent, held me when I cried, and reassured me that I would find my way through this darkness. But even with her support, I felt the weight of the betrayal pressing down on me. I was alone in this. Mark continued to try to reach out, sending text after text, leaving voicemail after voicemail. But I ignored it all. He didn't deserve my attention. He didn't deserve anything from me. Then, a week later, something happened that I hadn't expected. Jessica showed up at my sister's apartment. She had come uninvited, desperate to talk to me. "I need to explain," she said, her voice shaking as she stood in front of me. "I never meant for it to go this far. I never wanted to hurt you." I looked at her, my eyes cold and unfeeling. "You never wanted to hurt me? Is that supposed to make me feel better? You knew what you were doing, Jessica. You knew exactly what you were doing. You betrayed me just as much as Mark." "I was stupid," she said, her voice breaking. "I was confused. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought it was just fun, but it turned into something else. I didn't mean to destroy your life." "Your apology means nothing," I said flatly. "You took something from me that I'll never get back. And you don't get to fix that." I turned my back on her, closing the door behind me. I wasn't going to let her or Mark control my life anymore. I wasn't going to let their lies define me. I was stronger than this. In the months that followed, I focused on healing. I went back to work, spent time with Lily, and started rebuilding my life. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to move on. The pain still lingered, but I knew I was capable of finding happiness again. Mark tried to reach out a few more times, but I had nothing left to say to him. And as for Jessica, I severed all ties. She wasn't the friend I thought she was, and I couldn't allow someone like her in my life anymore. In the end, I learned that betrayal, no matter how painful, doesn't have to define you. I was more than the woman who had been cheated on. I was strong, resilient, and capable of rebuilding everything I had lost. And that was the most empowering lesson of all.